to Web Design 2. I'm just going to go over the course and a few other things, but just wanted to welcome you, and I'm happy to be your instructor, and I'm excited to see what all good work that you guys do. So I'm Heather Hornbeek, as I've welcomed you over the announcements, and I will be doing this entire class online without there being any kind of live sessions. So I'll be recording all the instructional videos as well as giving you feedback over Blackboard before you turn your project in, as well as after you turn your projects in. And so we won't be having any kind of live dialogue with each other, but we will have plenty of chances to get to know each other. So in this video, I'm just going to go over the course overview, what's expected from you, that most that you can see in your syllabus, as well as your first assignment overview, a little bit about UX UI, what that is, and an introductory lesson on that, and getting started. I'm going to try to help you get started on the first few items of your Project 1, and that is due at the end of this month. If you need some extra time, just let me know, and I'll be flexible with that. So this very first project, we'll be going over the project brief. I'm sorry, my slides are not in order. Sorry. So, sorry. The course overview, most of the information is in your syllabus, which you can find on Blackboard. If you have any questions about this, the main things, just let me know. The main things are that you need access to XD later in the course. Starting in February, we'll be using some Adobe products. And if you have access to Figma, Google Drive, Slack, these are all free options. Those are optional things, but those would be ideal for this class as well. Let me know if that is any problem. I don't expect there to be any kind of issues with accessing some free software out there that I might, in addition to Figma and Google Drive, have you access, but just let me know if there is an issue there. So this course is a full semester course, so we'll be working together until the end of April. And overall, you have 4 large projects, and each project has a list of expectations in them. So I'll go over the very first project, since I kind of did just now. So here's a list of things that you'll be turning in for the first project. You'll have project brief, interviews, persona, empathy map, competitive analysis, and sitemap. I'm going to go over the project brief and interview in this video, and you can find the other lecture videos in the following folders. So for the time being, for this section, I want you to just focus on the project brief and interviews. This will kind of get you started and will inform the other parts of this project. So before we begin with the project brief and interviews, I just want to explain what user experience and user interface is. So your school asked that I emphasize this class in user experience and user interface. From what I understand, a lot of you had some projects building a site and doing some coding and that kind of thing in Web 1. And for Web 2, we're going to just take that a step beyond. So just a little bit about UX UI. UX UI is a fairly new concept and a fairly new occupation. In fact, when I was in school, if somebody said UX UI, nobody anywhere would really know what you're talking about. There wasn't an option to emphasize in UX UI, there wasn't a certificate, there weren't any jobs out there, and so the closest thing that was out there was either in the computer sciences or in graphic design or in the arts. So when I went to school, I had that choice of going either the computer science route or going the art route with design, and I chose the design side. So, user experience designers, especially ones that are not brand new and as young as most of you all are, have some sort of other background, whether it's graphic design, software development, software engineering, coding, web developing. They probably have some of those other foundational skills. For me, my foundation is graphic design. So I found myself evolving into user experience design, and I'll explain a little bit why with the history of user experience design. But first, let's just clarify what these letters mean. In case some of you out there are like, I don't even know what UX is. I don't even know where to even begin thinking about this. So UX stands for user experience. So user experience does not only exist online or on the computer screen or on your phone. User experience can involve any kind of experience. User experience has been around since humans have been alive. So you have user experience in your living room. You have made choices on where to put your sofa and where to put your chair. And you made choices to put your silverware beside the dishwasher because when you unload the dishwasher, you don't want to walk across the entire side of the kitchen to put your dishes away, right? That isn't a user experience decision and a choice and a design. When you go to a playground, you would not believe how much money the city or county or state spends on playground equipment, not just the actual structures, but how the playground is designed, who will be using it, how will it be maintained. There's so much user experience in just going to the park and sitting on a swing and the swing being too small or being too large or not accommodating someone with special needs or handicapped. So there's so many choices that go into user experience based on the people that will be using them. And if every user experience designer, and there is a such thing as just a user experience designer, which I'll talk about throughout the course, then if they are only designing for themselves, then the people that will be using them, it won't be successful. So we'll talk about how do we instill empathy in ourselves to understand other people who are completely different than us and how they use the product, whether it's digital or physical. There's user experience when you go to a restaurant. So everyone's been to a restaurant for the most part, I'm assuming, and you have a choice of sometimes sitting in a booth or in a chair. Sometimes that choice is chosen for you. But there are even these formulas out there for restaurant owners to space their seating a certain distance apart in order for it to be comfortable for the customer. So in areas that are very dense, you want to make your restaurant as efficient as possible. You want to have as many tables, as many chairs that make sense for the restaurant, for the amount of crowd that they're expecting. And in really dense areas, they have to really calculate how close can we put these tables together and it still be comfortable. Same in grocery stores. If you ever notice when you go into an aisle of, say, like Kroger, and you'll notice that the aisles are almost exactly the same width at Kroger as, say, Food Lion or Walmart. That's because there are these formulas created by user experience research that determine that the cart is so big and the people need so much space to open the freezer door or to view, get by each other and to grab, the shelf height is only, a certain height because that's the average person can reach the top shelf. Like there are all these measurements that are not opinions. It's not like the store owner decided. They actually have research to back up those decisions. I'm assuming that a lot of you have been to IKEA. I mean, just imagine going to IKEA, a massive store, and there's not any kind of direction. there's just aisles, just like you're going to Home Depot, but it's 4 times bigger. There's just aisles of stuff. It would be chaotic, right? Especially on a Saturday. So IKEA has created, they don't even have painted lines. These are customized routes that IKEA makes with the lights. That arrow there on the floor is a light. So that when they do have big crowds, there is this suggestion. It's not a rule, it's a suggestion on which way everyone should go. And you'll kind of start to notice that there is, sort of this herding of people that are all going the same way. I'm assuming that a lot of you have been to Chick-fil-A. This is a Chick-fil-A line. I think my video is covering the sign, but you probably noticed the closed Sunday sign. But Chick-fil-A, every time you go to Chick-fil-A, think about, how many times have you been and you're sitting in line and you're thinking, oh, I wonder what my experience is going to be like this time when I order a number one. It's going to be the same as it was last time, right? It's going to be the exact same experience because Chick-fil-A has instilled a process called Lean. I actually learned this in a workshop by a Chick-fil-A owner who owns 3 Chick-fil-A stores, and he was the guy that started the I don't know if you noticed when you go to Chick-fil-A, they don't have those like chutes like a lot of fast food restaurants have. He had a customer that figured out a hack that if you go to Chick-fil-A and you order a Chick-fil-A sandwich that is custom in some way, like no pickle or extra pickles or whatever, that they will make it fresh. And that owner decided that that was a way to improve his stores, was to eliminate the chutes so that every single Chick-fil-A sandwich was made fresh. And since then, I believe every single store in the US does that now. Anyway, so there are a lot of these processes that are really actually super simple. He even commented on the fact that he has an insane amount of teenagers that are working in his stores, and all of their jobs are extremely simple. They're really easy to do, and so when they make a mistake, they like kind of beat themselves up because it's like, oh, like that was so easy. Why did I mess up? But it's just like a million simple things that have to go just right. And so they implement a lot of user experience strategies. In this case, they use a bit. You'll hear in the business world, it's called the Lean. It's just called Lean. I don't think there's anything before or after, but places like Toyota, they do the same. But this enhances the customer experience, the user experience, so that people will come back and buy more chicken sandwiches. So UX, we figured out, kind of explain what UX means, user experience. So what does it mean when you put UX and UI together? So UI represents user interface. Interface is referring to a screen. So like a screen can be, a user interface can be your phone. Anything on your phone. It can be that actual just opening up your phone, which is called the operating system. That interface that Apple has created with the buttons that have been there since iPhone came out, that is a user interface, as well as each app that you open is designed using user interface. On a computer screen, that can involve any software, the user experience on any software, or the user experience on any website. Anything that involves a screen is a user interface. So user interfaces can be used in public settings, on public computers, such as in restaurants. So you may have noticed that a lot of restaurants, when they were really struggling to find employees, and even before they were struggling to find employees, they have a way to order your food on a screen, which, to be honest, I really enjoy in some places, but not so much in others. One place that I do enjoy is Panera. This is an example of a Panera Bread user interface, and I think it's been updated since this picture, but and kind of get the idea that you have this way. Panera has like a million options, and there are so many hacks in Panera to get things where it's a kind of expensive place to eat sometimes. But there are ways to customize your order exactly the way you want it. There's lots of options, much more than Chick-fil-A, where you just have, meal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Panera has a lot more customization, and so user interface is really helpful for that. McDonald's, again, when they had an employee shortage, you started seeing these screens pop up more, so you could order your food and it would immediately pop up on the screen in the back where everyone prepared it. The only time I really honestly enjoy ordering on the screen at McDonald's is when I'm with my kids, because they can't make decisions very quick. So it gives them some time. But this is considered a user interface. Any app that you use, this is a user interface. We'll be in this class designing an app similar to this one. And of course, on a website, any screen, an iPad, a mobile device, laptop, desktop, even when you go to Netflix on your TV, that is a user interface. So all of this takes careful planning. There's lots of prototypes. One thing that really helps user experience designers or UX UI designers have job security is there's prototype, and then there's constant testing, and then prototype again, testing, prototype again. Like, one thing that I tell all my clients before we even get started, before I put out a quote, before we talk about how long the project is going to take, is that a website or a mobile app, usually a website, it's always evolving. It never ends. It's never something, it's like my husband used to make pizzas at a pizza buffet, and his job never ended. Like, as soon as he finished making all the pizzas, half of them were eaten, so he had to go make more pizzas, and then he put them out. Like, it's just this constant circle, which gives job security, and also keeps you in tune with who your users are as well. So if one thing that I recommend for anyone after this class, just keep it in the back of your head, there is a certificate out there for user experience design as well as UX UI design. It takes about 6 months to complete through Google. It's about $300, I believe. It's one thing that you can put on LinkedIn. Of course, I'm going to teach you a lot of these concepts that Google teaches, but if you do want to go even further beyond your education, this is something that you can do on your own time, online, and it's fairly inexpensive. So, getting you started. So, the very first thing that you'll be doing for Project 1, which you'll be using a real client and a real website that I'm actually working on. You guys can be, hypothetically, you're my assistants, but, of course, this project is graded, so it's for your school as well. So I might be using some pieces to show if there's something really impressive in some of your work. I'm going to see if you're okay with me using it. But just to give you an idea of the group we'll be using VitaSolutions.com. This is a website that is very rough draft, very skeleton right now, but you can take a look at it. It's something that our team has created, and eventually it will have a store. So one reason why it is pretty basic right now is because we're working on the actual packaging. They are printing it right now, starting with the India market. So there is a printer right now that I just sent several package designs to in India, and I'm kind of waiting on them so we can get some lifestyle shots and so people actually holding the product in their hands to put on the website. So what is a project brief? Okay, so a project brief, this is feels very formal, but a lot of times this just happens organically. So you know, a hypothetical scenario, someone comes to you and says, "Hey, John, I really could use your help with creating a website for my construction business." Maybe it's your uncle, I don't know, somebody that you know that they just want to give you experience and they know that you're capable and probably that you won't charge them very much because you're family. Um, so hypothetical situation. So let's like ask a lot of questions here. So yeah, they want to involve you in a project that you're really interested in, but let's make sure that we can commit to this first. So what do they want to achieve? Why do they need a website? Do they need it for um, just for fun, like just to have a website? Do they need it to sell a certain service? What are they trying to achieve here? How will they know the project is a success? I don't know, I can't say that. So how will you know that this is a success? Sorry. um, so what are their expectations here? So one thing that you really want to make sure is that there is a project end date, like exactly when this many pages are done, or when you have a home page and it does this, and this, that you are done with the project. One really big problem when you first get started and you just kind of learn as you go is that some projects will go on and on and on and on and on and on, especially if it's not something that's printed, like you're making a poster for a friend's film or something like that, where obviously the project's done once they make a bunch of prints. This is, like I said, websites are constantly evolving, so they can evolve forever. You could have your uncle pay you $500 to do a website and you could be still working on it 5 years from now. So kind of lay out what will make this website successful for him or her. So what do we need to do? What are some of the things that you need? Are there certain parts of this project that he really wants that you have no idea how to do, but maybe you have a friend that could help? And then this is not part of your assignment because I've already taken care of this, but what are the deliverables and when can we commit to delivering them? So, and what is the investment? So here's an example of a timeline, as well as, and these are real sheets that I use in Google Docs. They're not glamorous at all. Most people who are looking at quotes, they don't really want anything super fancy. They just want it to be readable and to see the numbers clearly. So on the left here is a timeline that and a quote that I made for a friend of mine. She didn't really need a whole lot. She had a site already. The design was actually pretty good as far as the branding, but it needed some updates. She had some new videos to upload. She had some new script to include. Like, she had a lot of content that she wanted to upgrade, and that required moving some things around on the site. And so it wasn't, a huge project, and I wanted to, one strategy, just a little tip, marketing tip here, is that in the timeline I didn't delete the things she didn't need. I wanted her to see that these were also options for her later if she wanted it. So here in the timeline I show, okay, this is when to expect us to be working on certain things between January and April. So I have more than just her project to work on. So this gives her an idea of, when we meet on a monthly basis or when we connect in some way, that, certain things like some graphic design elements won't be finished until the end of March. Just to give her an expectation of what I can commit to. As well as, and I didn't show the total here, but a quote here on the side on how much it would cost for our team to work on this. So honestly, this is a small enough project that I probably would not, this is the scenario that actually didn't work out. She needed something different, and I'd changed the quote. So this is not an active project, but this was a scenario where I would have some other people on my team to work on everything, and then I would oversee it and clean it up if it needs cleaning up, kind of thing. But just to give you an example of, you know, if you ever do any kind of freelancing work like this, to give them a clear timeline so that you know exactly what you signed up for. This is kind of like an assignment list for you here on the left, and on the right is an expectation of how much they will end up paying throughout the project, whether you do a deposit in the beginning and then the rest at the end, or whatever you're comfortable with. So that's a little bit about Project Brief. I don't have any slides for interviews, so I just wanted to kind of go over that at another time. But for your interviews, just in summary, your interviews will be just between, it's pretty simple, just between you and a friend, or you and another classmate in this class. And I want you to choose someone. I really don't expect anyone to have even heard of Vita Solutions since it's so new. It's literally a few months old. But ideally, in case you do this for another website, you want to find someone who has no idea what this company is or what they do. And I want you to kind of go ask them some questions about it. So ideally, you'd interview someone that's a little different than you, that would see things in a different light than you would, because you might find some new discoveries. So you can open up vitasolutions.com, some of those resources that I have available, and just interview your friend and ask them questions like, what do you think the site is about? How does this site make you feel? Is it clear what they're about? Like, what's their mission? And all these questions are in a Google slide template that I've made for you. And hopefully all of these, the project brief and the interviews, when you do turn it in, it'll be either in a slide form, or if you want to use InDesign and make it a PDF, that's great too. But hopefully it'll be visual. Like a lot of these actions that we're doing, a lot of, project brief, timeline, a lot of this stuff is, if you've taken any kind of marketing class, it's very similar. The biggest difference is that their deliverables and their actual evidence of their work and their resources are usually in a super ugly Excel sheet. So since you guys are, I'm assuming, are all interested in design, I'm hoping to see some more visual representation of what you find, or at least have some like text hierarchy in there where it looks pretty good. So be creative, just permission to be creative. That's not necessarily something I'm going to dock a ton of points on, but I just kind of want to see what your style is, especially starting off in this class. So that's about it for this video and overview. If you have any questions, I actually have a folder for this project, and there is a discussion section, which I know most people hate those discussion things online, but if you have and this is optional, if you're working on, say, your project brief, or you're working on a persona, and you're just like, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, I think this is what she wants, I'm giving you a kind of a big open window to be creative and do what you want, but I want you to feel comfortable that you're on the right track as well. So yeah, just upload some pictures, screenshot your screen, upload it, and just ask questions like, is this how it's going to be? Did I do enough? Should I add more? Should I don't know, make it a different color? I don't know. Is it readable? Any of those kind of questions are welcome, and I hope to spend more time on feedback versus just you hearing me yap on these videos. So yeah, you guys have a great time on this project. Hopefully it'll be interesting. This is more of the research side, the UX UI research side of things, and it gives you a chance to really understand your client, and then that understanding of your client and your target audience, the missions and the goals that everyone has, will help you have really successful decisions when you're actually designing, which we'll do a lot more starting in February. So, all right. Thanks, everyone.